The Islamic terrorist attack this week in Manchester has raised the ongoing concern about terrorists living and plotting in our very midst. In Britain, France, Belgium, and in the United States, after each attack, the question is, when and how did the attackers become radicalized? Last year, Scott Thuman traveled to Birmingham, England, a working-class city similar to Manchester, where one man not only saw the terrorist threat, but decided to do something about it.
I can confirm that the man suspected of carrying out last night's atrocity is 22-year-old Salman Abedi.
Abedi grew up in a suburb of Manchester, a working-class city where neighborhoods can be segregated and young, unemployed men congregate, not unlike an area of Birmingham where we visited last year.
It's where these young men are playing here is that's where I used to run a soccer club.
Follow Jahan Mahmood long enough and you are bound to find yourself in what over the years has been a breeding ground of aspiring terrorists.
The population here is predominantly Muslim, more than 80%. They tend to come from areas of Pakistan and Kashmir.
On this day, he takes us through Birmingham, a couple of hours north of London, and where the former military history professor does most of his work, trying to de-radicalize young men.
I mean, in this area alone, this area at one point had the largest number of terrorist convictions in the country.
But your whole goal is to stop them from getting to the point that they actually go overseas.
Absolutely.
You feel you're being successful?
Well, the people that I do know of who I've stopped is about 7.
Like this 26-year-old who, to protect his identity, we're calling Cameron.
When it all kicked off after September 11.
And you wanted to get to the battlefield?
Wanted to get to the battlefield, that was the main aim, you know.
To fight back, to kill British, to kill Americans?
Of course, yeah. If that's what it would have taken, yeah.
That's what Jahan is trying to temper. He says in this area, where signs are often in Urdu and Arabic voices dominate the soccer fields, roughly 40% of those living here are under 18. They are impressionable, easy targets for ISIS recruiters. He recalls one instance involving a handful of teens.
He was watching, he had actually on his phone, he had downloaded the beheading of Ken Bigley, who was a British contractor in Iraq. And I was shocked to see these young men, a number of them huddled around, watching and laughing.
The Guardian newspaper claims 800 Britons left the country last summer alone to fight with the terror group. And just a week after our visit, 4 more alleged terrorists were arrested, 2 in this neighborhood. Who did you want to fight with?
It was obviously, you know, against the West, you know, because we felt like they were destroying, you know, people's lives.
You were angry at America?
Yeah, obviously, and also the UK at the time.
Do you hear a lot of that anti-American sentiment?
I hear a lot. I mean, I have to be honest with you, is that I hear a lot of it, absolutely. And it's all based on conflicts in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria.
To counter that, through meetings sometimes organized at a local mosque or at this old pool hall, Jahan shows them sobering, graphic images of jihadists killed in battle, an example of what might come of them, and he points out that the terrorists often kill innocent Muslims.
That was a bit of a turning point for you when you started to realize that Muslims were also being a target of the terrorists?
Of the terrorists, yeah, definitely. It was, you know, it did make me think like, whoa, why would I go out there? It'd be stupid of me to go out there.
Jahan says winning over even one potential jihadist can have an incalculable effect.
Yeah, I mean, one of the conversations I recall having is that, right, here's your car keys. Would you really hand them over to a local person? Would you really do that? And yet you're handing your life over to someone on the internet that you've never met before. Why would you do that for?
But there's no perfect formula for de-radicalizing, and Jahan could use all the allies he can get. Imams, he says, are often falling short.
I do feel that religious leaders have failed in their religious duty to try and make their community safer, and they've not been able to engage properly.
It is gaining the upper hand, controlling the message that will be essential to turning the tide of radicalization in Britain, in Europe, and in the United States. The wins will be measured by individuals like Cameron. He's now 26 with a job, a wife, a child, and a future. one he was on the brink of gambling away.
You look back now and you think that you would have just been a number.
Yeah, definitely. I would have been a number and I would have been deleted at any time.
And Cheryl, there is a parallel here. While investigators in Manchester have made multiple arrests by following leads to see who helped Abedi plot this concert attack, that's exactly what Jahan is doing in trying to prevent attacks. So he's finding out who's recruiting and influencing the young men he's counseling and then trying to de-radicalize them as well.
So interesting. Thanks, Scott.